Good morning. It's Monday morning. We're here, and it's really cool because finally I get to be live with you, live, because the last couple of weeks we've been pre-recording, as you may or may not know, and that's not really fun for me. I like it a lot better knowing that you're sitting there watching right when we're sitting here talking. So, hooray, and I want to thank my fabulous cohorts, my partners in crime, my amazing team, for helping us get through those last couple of weeks where I couldn't be sitting in this chair at 8 a.m. on Monday morning the way I am today. So it's your Monday Momentum, yippee, another week starting. And we are going to be talking today about the amazing ability to grow your wings on the way down. And this is a saying that we hear a lot at CEO Space, and I tried to do some research on it to see if I could figure out where this quote first originated, and I've gotten a couple whatever. Ray Bradbury was the one that I found the most often, and then somebody named Kobe Yamada. I don't know who he is. He sounds Japanese, and we hear it all the time from Les Brown. And the thing is, basically, the full quote is, "Take the leap and grow your wings on the way down." And it's designed to inspire us to not spend forever sitting on our rears planning, and never actually taking any action. And, that's what we want to talk about today. Are you stuck in planning? Are you stuck in analysis? Is it time for you to just get out there and do something? And our experiences around that, how we've dealt with that kind of feeling. So that's the big main topic. And, maybe you just have a few little feathers that are beginning to sprout because you're on your way down right now. But they'll grow and you'll learn. And, that's exactly what this whole Monday Momentum really is for me and for some of the rest of us. We're growing our wings. We're just getting out there and doing it. And we may not be perfect and we stumble and bumble sometimes, but we're growing wings. So, hey, James, why don't you say good morning and then we'll get into the topic.
Good morning. I still got my chirper though. I have to still get that taken care of. But it's great to be here. It's visiting you here from southern Utah, sunny southern Utah, but very cold southern Utah. This is why I'm all kind of warm and snuggly today. So it's great to be here. This is definitely a topic that's near and dear to my heart. We can soar like the eagles, but once in a while a jet plane flies by and we get caught up in the exhaust, and as we're spinning and tumbling through the air, we got to figure out how to get balance back and get ourselves back in that soaring stage. So this is definitely something that entrepreneurs and solopreneurs and even moms deal with on a regular basis. So
yeah, I think we all deal with it. It's human nature, in case you didn't know, at least in my opinion, to continuously be pushing the envelope, to be exploring, to be growing, to be learning. That's what we're here for. And we can shut it down sometimes pretty well, but it comes back to haunt us. So it's that, if you have an urge to be growing a business, to be producing a cool new product, to be serving a bunch of people, and you're not doing it, you're probably going a little bit crazy because you should be doing it. But sometimes the timing of it is, well, when do I quit my job, for instance? Okay, I've got my business up and running and making a little bit of money. Is it safe yet or isn't it? Those feelings, and to me, the most common comparison is, when is it perfect to have a baby? People often are sort of like, we have to get the house, and then we have to get the baby's room, and then we have to get the money, and we want to have our careers at this certain point, or whatever it is. And the fact is, it's just like never really perfect. And of course, sometimes it's a big giant surprise, but a lot of times people you got to jump. You got to say, okay, let's hope it works out, because we want to do this thing, and we can't plan the perfect time or the perfect everything to make sure that it's going to be a blazing success exactly the way we have it envisioned. And so that's, I don't know if you've ever had experiences like that, but I sure have. And again, right here, right now, what we're doing with Monday Momentum is an example of that. I did a bunch of training with our fellow CEO Space instructor, Alex Mendoza, and you know, one of his sayings is, "Sloppy success is better than mediocre, what? Mediocre nothingness." Sorry, Alex, can't quite remember, but you know, get out there and do something, and it's better than never doing anything. That if we sit and wait and sit and wait, we may never get anything done. And so, you know, I took that to heart when it came to Google Hangouts, because I really like this, what we're doing. I really want to share some of the stuff that I've learned over the years and that you guys have shared learning with me, with all those other people that I know are out there that are struggling sometimes because they're working on their own and they don't always have a team. In the beginning, an entrepreneur is just themselves, and they might be surrounded, in fact, by people that think they're a little bit nuts, because there seems to be sort of two brain types. I'm frozen. I hope you can hear me. Two brain types. People that want security, you know, and it's not meant to be belittling, but they're just much more comfortable with the idea of having a job and working for someone else and doing that whole routine. And some of us are like, yeah, you know, that's nice, but man, I really want to do this other thing, and I just feel different about it. I want to grow in this way. And those people love us and want us to be safe, and that's fine. We want to be safe too, but they don't always get us. They just don't get this urge that we have that they don't have, and that's fine. They can love us and love us and love us, and we can love them back, and we can still grow our dreams, because boy, you know, that's where the changes in the world come from. And it's nice to associate with other people that get that, and that's who we are. But it's not always perfect. We've had trouble with our hangout this morning. I mean, I just froze. I don't know if I'm going to be frozen on the video later, but I was for a second there. So growing those wings. And look who's joined us. Linda, yeah, you found your way. Good morning.
Good morning. You know, I caught the part where you said, you know, certain types of people do this, and, you know, others of us like to do this. But that's not all, Sarah. It's this, and this, and this, and this.
Yeah, I know there's way more than two categories. But, I mean, I've certainly had people in my life that are like, you know, what do you do anyway? They ask me that a lot, and then sometimes it's very hard to explain. But they also really just think, why don't you just go? And when this giant recession hit all of us, you know, it wasn't so easy to just go and get a job. And it's, in my opinion, still not easy to go and get a job. And the problem, at least for me, is, you know, yes, there might be a job, but it wouldn't be a job that would feed my soul at all. And I need to feed my soul. At this point in my life, that's more important to me than that security and stability. I mean, I want to have some, and you guys know I'm working to make sure I have some. But this adventure, growing this business, and what we're doing here, helping others and really encouraging everyone to chase their dream and grow something magnificent and new, that's way more fun and more interesting, and I'd rather spend my time on that. So, tell me, do either of you have a story of a time when you leapt and grew your wings on the way down? Dive right in. I know you do. If not, you can talk.
I'm giving Linda the 3 seconds that we talked about with.
Stop, James. Does that mean you have one? Or
oh,
not?
Sure. I mean, gee, I mean, 90% of what I just went through over the last probably 2 or 3 months had everything to do with that. Kind of like that analogy that I just shared, that, you know, sometimes we're going along, we're doing well, we're flying, things are, you know, going well. We're not necessarily getting a lot of altitude or, you know, going at, you know, Mach speed or anything, but then all of a sudden the 747 goes right by us, and we get caught up in the jet lag or jet stream, whatever you want to call it, and we just find ourselves kind of flipping through the air and heading down. And you know, I love to go skydiving. I've been skydiving a few times, and you really don't know or notice that you're falling or at what rate you're falling until you get really close, you know, as you get closer to the ground. And now I'm frozen, so hopefully you can hear me.
I can hear you just fine.
So you know, there's always going to be those times when things get kind of thrown into a little disarray, a little of the unknown, insecure, and those are the times you just got to start flapping. You just got to start. If you really felt compelled, if you really feel confident, if you really feel that these are the directions, like you said, Linda, that you want to head, then you got to keep moving. I can't tell you how many stories I've heard of people who have just attained amazing success, and you know, hit their home run and then hit several more home runs, and they will, all of them will tell you that at one point or another they were either destitute or completely just kind of lost in that process. But it was going through that and getting through that, and it's where you get your strength. You work out in a gym, or you run because you want to do marathons. All of these things you do are because you got areas that you're weak in, and those are opportunities to really strengthen your resolve and strengthen your capacity to accomplish something. So.
Thank you. I love that, and what it brought to mind for me is the idea that you know, we dive off the cliff, or the cliff that someone, you know, one of the other people might think is a really hairy, scary cliff, and to us it doesn't feel like one anymore, or as much of one, because of the relationships that we've built, the education that we've had, the experiences that we've already gone through. We've learned a lot, but when we get hit by that turbulence, sometimes we forget. And one of the best tools for me when I'm really doubting or scared, because that's what happens, is looking back. Okay, where was I 5 years ago? Where was I 10? You know, look at all the things I have learned. Look at how much more prepared I am for this situation that I'm in right now than I was 10 years ago. So I can build my faith back that, okay, you know, I'm not that same person that I was when I was 20 who might have hit that ground. Boom. You know, there's other people around me that I can draw on for support, like you, fabulous too. And there's people that, I mean, you kind of tend to forget, I do anyway, how much I know. And when you turn and look behind you at the people that haven't learned these things yet, then you realize, okay, I'm farther down that road than I thought. I really will be all right because I have all of this stuff that I didn't have before. And that can really help, at least for me, when it's the growing the wings time. I mean, last week, 2 weeks ago, the stuff that I'm doing is all around getting a job, to have a part-time job to stabilize the income while some of these other things are happening. And I can tell you, I had over and over again to shore myself up and come back into a situation where I've had these horrible feelings like, you know, I can't do this, and I don't want to do this, and I want to run away and hide. And those are skills that we have, the ability to persevere, the ability to have faith, the ability to come back up. You know, Les again says, you fall down 10 times, you get up 11. It's the same thing. You just got to keep going, and you draw on the people and the knowledge that you've built, your team, and your team might be in here reading their words if that's what you need to do, but you can keep doing it because so many other people have. So Linda, now that you've had a chance to like, okay, I'm here, I got in, now I have something to say. I'm sure I do.
So just a comment, you know, James talked about jumping out of a perfectly good airplane. I've done the same thing 10 times, and it's incredible. When you're a novice, your first jump, whatever it is, everything's rushing by you, and you get out there, and you make that jump, and everything in the world just stops. It is so quiet, so peaceful, and as you get closer to the ground, boy, it starts moving fast again. So I can totally relate to that.
And there's no sensation of falling.
No, there's not.
unless you're really paying attention to everything around you and everything that's going on, you're going to get caught off guard, and you're going to find yourself really kind of in that conundrum. And that's kind of what happened is, you know, I didn't realize I was falling, or I didn't realize these things were happening, and all of a sudden, the ground's coming up pretty fast.
Absolutely.
This is fabulous because, you know, I've also jumped out of an airplane, so here's and none of us knew that before we started our show today. I've only done it one time, but I was impressed the same way by the absolute beautiful stillness. And the thing that of course I'm thinking is you know, none of us did it without a parachute. and so, you know, it is a beautiful visual statement, jump and grow your wings on the way down. But they're not saying jump and you know, don't even think about wings. They're not, you know, you do have a lot to hold you together and to help you when it's time to make that leap. It's not something that you're doing completely blind. And all three of us, you know, had a parachute when we jumped. And that's the relationships, that's the knowledge, that's the wisdom that you've gained over your lifetime. You know, like, as I said a minute ago, none of us are the same person that we were when we were 20. And being 20 was fabulous for certain things. But it's certainly, I didn't feel very wise. I didn't feel very confident a lot of the time that I would be able to work my way through something that was uncomfortable or hard. And those are all skills that are amazingly helpful when you find yourself falling out of an airplane. And anyway, I love it that we've just discovered this about each other. You know, it's very peaceful, very quiet, and yeah, that once you start coming back to Earth, everything is moving really fast. And so, James, I appreciate you sharing a little bit about, you know, why you've been kind of gone the last 3 months or 2 months or whatever it was, because it's part of the journey for all of us. Sometimes there's just a chunk of time where, you know, we have to really re-examine what we're doing and where we're going. Is there one of the stories that I've heard a lot is the idea of burning your ships. I don't know if either one of you have heard that. Linda, would you dive in on that since you are nodding up and down?
Well, you know, again, had I had some heads up on that, I'd be prepared to answer it properly. But it has to do, was that the follow-up on Good to Great or something like that? I forget exactly where it is. But essentially, if you always have that major safety net behind you, you may not make the effort to try.
Mm-hmm.
And what they're saying by burn the boats is, hey, that's your retreat. It's no longer an option. You need to move forward. You need to make progress. You need to really, you know, and I won't say that, but to really grab onto it and grow your wings. You know?
So, yeah, growing your wings because you're committed is kind of what happens when you jump. You're committed. You're not going to be able to get back up, so you're going to have to go forward in one way or the other. And the other story about burning your ships, you know, there's a couple references, and I didn't mean to leave you out there hanging. Alexander the Great supposedly burned his ships, as well as Cortez, at one point to tell their men, hey, you know what? We can't go back. We have to win or die. And it's a method of thinking that sometimes we need because we get stuck, like I said a minute ago, in that analysis paralysis where we're just trying to make sure that everything's perfect. And, you know, sometimes a good kick in the rear, I think that's what you wanted to say, but you didn't, can really get us going. So any input on how to decide if that's where you are or if it's truly a time to just really plan, and it's okay to be planning versus taking action? Have you ever worked with a person or perhaps yourself where you really needed to take a step back and spend some time planning and it was okay to not be leaping? Is that...
You know, Sarah, I think today people have so much better opportunity for success because they don't have to get out there by themselves and make that leap. there's so many resources, so many mentors that, you know, come through the woodwork now when you mention that you want to do something, than there were when I started my business.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, gosh, I had to get out there and I had to do things and I had to figure them out because, you know, I'm in the internet business and the information was not as readily available as it is today. But I think just today, if people don't take advantage of the mentorship and the knowledge that's already out there and they think they have to go out there and do it all themselves, I think they're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
They really need to take a look at everything that's available to them today.
Well, that's one of the amazingly wonderful things about the internet, I think, and just the time that of life or the time in the planet that we happen to be alive. There is so much information so readily available. You don't have to start from zero, and that's building that parachute so that when you jump, you really, you know, you've examined a few things, you know who the people are that you can count on, you have a clear vision of what your target, of where you're jumping to, but you're willing still to be a little bit flexible, to feel some fear, to move forward and not feel like you've got to get every single piece of it explained. Let that happen as you go, because we both know, I mean, I'm guaranteed one of you can dive in and tell a story about how you thought you were growing this business or producing this product, and oops, it's actually kind of over here now, and this is way better. This is actually more in alignment with who you are and what you want to do, and it's actually better for the marketplace, and more people are going to be served by it. But you never would have found it if you hadn't started something way over here thinking that you were going to do this. I know that James has ideas about that one.
Well, two things that you got really kind of that you said that kind of got me thinking along these lines is I think one of the things that we fail to do, that we often fail to do, is plan for the ifs that we can't imagine would happen. You know, when I was running my company in San Diego and 28 employees, tremendous amount of revenue, not wanting for anything. No one saw 2008 and 9 coming. They didn't. We didn't. None of us saw the ground coming. And by the time we did, for a lot of people, it was too late. And as I was approaching that, I was actually financially in a very, very good place, but I just didn't. It didn't look like the ground was coming, and so we made a lot of decisions and we did a lot of things that ultimately, when we hit the ground, or when we realized we had to throw the chute open, we didn't have a chute. And so I think sometimes as we're going through these processes, we really need to be mindful of those big ifs that we can't imagine would happen. But the second thing you said was very, very true, though. If all that hadn't happened, I wouldn't be here in southern Utah. I'd still be in San Diego. I wouldn't be doing all the work I'm doing with the Down syndrome community, with the Exchange Club, with all these different other programs that I'm incredibly passionate about now. And so I would be a very different person, and I don't know, and I've even said this to people, that I don't know that I would want to know that guy, to meet the guy that kept on that other track. So we also have to be open to the universe, if that makes sense. We have to be open to what ultimately what that path needs to be for us individually. So not being hard on yourself when you realize you got to grow new wings as you're falling, and not to get hung up on that discouragement that might come as a result. So.
Well, and that just makes me think that, you know, like you said, the universe. I mean, sometimes we're not leaping off, we're pushed. And 2008, for me, and it sounds like for you and perhaps as Linda as well, threw me right off the cliff. And the difference might be that I did have a parachute of sorts, and in believing that, okay, you know, there's going to be something different that's going to come along, that I'm going to be able to grow some wings here, but also having fun with the adventure of it. I mean, it's not always so easy when the ground is really coming up fast. You know, that can be really hard to do. But a lot of the other things, the little things that change you from this direction to maybe only just this much, you know, they're an irritant. It's some problem. Usually it's some challenge of some kind. And, ooh, you know, we sometimes think that we want this cushy, perfect life where there's never any problems of any kind. And yet that would be kind of boring. And the growth wouldn't happen, like you said. The person would be completely different. We wouldn't be sitting here doing Monday Momentum, the three of us, and having this wonderful adventure. I mean, it's been such a great thing for me, if we hadn't been pushed off that cliff. So, you know, the attitude of, I can handle this challenge, and I wonder what cool things I'm going to learn. I wonder who the cool person is that I'm going to be in a year because of this. Being able to hold that mentality, I guess is the word I want, at least some of the time, as much of the time as possible, because, you know, sometimes it's really awful and it's pretty hard to do that, but it's not always, you know. Sometimes the little glitches are just, oh, here's a little glitch, I wonder what we're going to learn here, versus, oh, here's a disaster and my plan was this and I'm not getting it, and ah! So growing your wings repeatedly over and over again. Linda, did you have an experience similar to that with 2008? Did it send your life going sideways?
Oh, it absolutely did. You know, there are certain blocks of time that you just wish didn't happen.
Couldn't have learned that differently?
Well, it's over now, I'm hoping.
I think, you know what? I think to a large degree, though, I think to a large degree, I think the majority of people, even that might be employed in a good-paying job, to a large extent, I think a lot of people are still trying to climb out of that, not just financially, but emotionally. Mm-hmm. And from top to bottom, I was having this conversation with someone the other day. I'm talking from the middle class all the way up to the uber rich. Everybody emotionally, whether, you know, financially we might be able to pay the bills and buy an island in Tahiti, but emotionally, I think it really scared and affected a lot of people in a lot of different ways. So, and what you said just a second ago made me think of, you know, I have very graceful days that I handle things very gracefully and I respond well, and then there's other days that I'm not proud of. It is part of the process, and the main thing is something that my wife and I have talked about all the time. Is, in fact, there was a Charlie Brown cartoon on over the weekend, and it's when he loses the spelling bee. And he's just absolutely devastated, and he crawls in bed, and he doesn't want to get out all day, and Linus comes over to see him, and Linus is saying, yeah, it sounds like that was pretty hard on you, Charlie. That was really an awful thing. But did you notice something, Charlie Brown? The world didn't come to an end. And I think that's a feeling that we get in our gut sometimes, that we're not going to be able to get through it this time, or it's just too much. You know, now it's really too much, and yet, if we get a good night's sleep and wake up in the morning and change our paradigm as far as how we're looking at that, the sun's still shining, the birds are still chirping. Well, my fire alarm's still chirping. and and the world doesn't come to an end. And that's the real awesome power behind this is you can always pick yourself up tomorrow. You can always dust yourself off, and sometimes it just takes, you know, the president of the university here in town. I had lunch with him about 3 or 4 months ago, and everybody at the table was asking one question: what do you think has brought you the most success? And everybody had their answers, and when it came to him, and he's late 70s, and he said, you just got to keep showing up.
Yep.
And he never intended to be the president of a university. That wasn't his end goal. But when it came to things that were happening in the schools that he was instructing, and he just was the guy who always showed up. So one day, he was offered a job that he never thought he would ever be attainable. And that really is the bottom line. If we just keep showing up, if we just keep going, everything is there for us.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Sorry to go off there, but it's this is really something that's been very near to the surface for me here over the last few months. So.
Yes, and I know, and again, I really appreciate you sharing it, because there's lessons for lots of us in what happens when you kind of take on too much and you get that tailspin going. How do you recover? How do you get your balance back? And I know that you had wisdom there. So we'll have more talks, I hope. We're out of time. You know, we started a couple minutes late, so I let us babble a little bit longer, but I think, you know, we have to honor our viewers and say it's only a half hour, it's your quick shot of momentum. So who would like to sign out first and then pass it on? Anyone?
I'll go for it. So I just want to remind everybody that this is Veterans Day on Wednesday, and get out there, think of that. I am a veteran myself, and I offer discount services to veterans for their websites. So if anybody out there is a veteran or married to a veteran family, websforvets.com, you know, I'm there to help thank you for your service to the country and provide my service at a great rate. So websforvets.com.
Webs for Vets. Thank you, Linda.
That's awesome. I almost panicked there for a second when you said it's Veterans Day, because and it's 2 days away, and through the Exchange Club we'll be handing out 2,000 flags to all the kids, and well, we usually had about 1,000, but the last couple of years the adults want them just as much as the kids, so we hand out about 2,000 flags to kick off the Veterans Parade. We're the first out through the Veterans Parade, and my father was a veteran, and I tried to enlist, but they laughed at me, so that's another story. But yes, Veterans Day coming up. There's a lot to be thankful for, and there's a lot to be proud of. So, James McFadden here in sunny southern Utah, marketing systems, and it's been a pleasure.
Thank you, James. So it's me, Sarah Coolidge. You can find me at mymondaymomentum.com. We have our website. That's where our archives are, lots of other videos. We're here every Monday for you and for us. As you can tell, we help each other a lot, but there's also a heck of a lot of wisdom here. And I have this vision now. I've had it, well, for at least a day and a half, of a whole bunch of us sort of gray-haired people that got kind of spit out by 2008 out into a different world, and we are not giving up on anything. We are figuring out our new way of life, and we are going to keep cheering all of you on, as well as ourselves, with what we've learned. So keep coming back every Monday. Just designed to get your week started off with some good ideas, some new information, some momentum in a positive direction, so you can slide into Friday feeling good about your week. please contact us. Please like us and love us and subscribe. Tell us what you think. Tell us what you're using, what you'd like to hear about. We'd love to know more about all of you. Have a great week. We'll see you later.
Monday.
Aloha.
Okay.